Alright guys, we've got a new video. Stop looking for black representation in Japanese manga by Ultrasemi? Or Semi? I think is how you say it. Anyway, we're gonna look at this. Also, it just has 4,025 subs. Fill that up, thank you. Yeah, we're gonna look at this, and I will very likely agree with this man here, very likely, right? But let's take it from him. Let's take it from him. We're gonna go in. Please consider like and subscribing. By the way, I very much appreciate it. Thank you so much. And yeah, we'll go in. I'm curious what he says.
This part might sound funny to other groups, but I gotta get my insurance ready. I am black. I have no problems with being black.
Shocker, shocker. He black. Terrifying. Just kidding, obviously.
I have lived every day of my life as a black man, and I will continue to live life as a black man. I'm cool with the force.
Yeah, let's take it from a black man, right? Let's take it from a black man, right? Let's see.
See, I'm cool with the melanin. I'm cool with the nose and lips. None of that is a problem to me. If I went to Fontaine, the locals would look at me sideways, and that's fine. I can't stop them. If I went to Inazuma, they'd think I was a demon. That sucks, but I gotta live with it. Anyways, to be honest, this subject has been stuck in the
That was so random. Maybe, who knows? I don't know how they think about black people in Yazuma, but considering the way when the black community on Twitter discovered how the Japanese think of them due to all this situation with Gachi Akuta, I don't know. It could be actually.
back of my head for years, but I didn't really sit down to think about it until recently when some drama surrounding this one manga blessed my feed. Basically, this lady that made this manga posted some comedic reel to her Instagram account, and it made a lot of people mad. Which is whatever, I don't really care about that part. However, I did see a lot of people using this incident to complain about black representation in manga, which is so incredibly funny to me. Why the hell are
My take is that if you demand any representation in a foreign made product that you are, by the way, not the target audience of, you are, I'd say, retarded. I'm European. I'm white. I'm not sitting here demanding, oh yeah, make white characters, desperately make more white characters, make more white characters. I'm not sitting here. Oh, make more, right? I'm part Italian. Make more Italian characters, right? I want more Italian representation in anime. No, I do not. And you want to know why? Because I want to consume anime. I want to consume Japanese media. Not Japanese media catered to me as a Westerner, but Japanese media catered to the Japanese. Because I enjoy what they're making. Not that they're making it for me. That's the thing. I don't see that. It doesn't make sense to me that you demand representation for something that's not yours. Actually, I find it interesting they demand Japanese media they demand black representation or Latin representation in anime, but they refuse to actively support black creators, artists, show writers, cartoon creators, right? They refuse to support them. Instead, they would rather create anime like black edits of anime characters, right? Right? Where is the support for black media, like media made by black people that has the target audience being black people? There is none because the people aren't supporting that. They would rather demand. They would rather demand. How do you say this? Representation in foreign media that is not theirs.
Are you going to Japanese media for decent representation? This has never made any sense to me, and seeing it now finally made me realize how odd this sentiment is. I never see any kind of fan art for original black characters on my feed on any app. All I ever see are black edits of characters. Let's be honest here, these are stupid and pathetic. Instead of seeking out actual black art to support and make fan content of, I see people making these dumb edits of mostly Japanese characters. I've always wondered how people over there react to this kind of thing. All I'll say is, if I ever saw a Japanese person editing Rustman to look like Heihachi, I would have a problem. Now, to be fair, some edits are at least kind of excusable. Like for example, when people edit Genshin Impact characters that are from Natlan and Sumeru. Those regions are based on cultures where the people definitely don't look like this, so it's fair to edit them to be darker or whatever.
I would argue even that isn't exactly true. I would even argue against that. Simple. Inspired does not mean that it's supposed to be just like it. Last time I checked, nobody's using electro magic or fire magic in the real world, right? It's like interesting. Mondstadt isn't particularly properly represented, and that's Europe. That's not necessarily right. That's not not really accurate. I'm like, I initially don't agree with that. Reason being, it's not their media. They can choose what they want to do with their media that they create. If they're inspired by it, cool, but that's about it. If you want to create a white Wakanda, then you have the right to do it. It's like that simple. Arguably, right? But I feel like, right? People can do what they want. And I think that these edits, I think also the edits, it's not like a difference, right? It's more like, is it an edit or is it a fixed? Because yeah, if you remember those, right, there were a lot of people who did these like, oh, I fixed this artwork, and they made the character black, and I'm like, or fat, and I'm like, motherfucker, you fixed something? This looks worse. Also, it's incredibly disrespectful to fix somebody's art. Anyway, I feel like you can't or you can, and I feel like you can't. I feel like most of these edits of making the characters darker, also they look also worse. And also, like, if they're not meant to be darker skinned, even if they're from a culture, the inspiration where people are not white, that's still fine. I think that's still okay. It's fiction after all.
It's honestly really annoying to see people scream and cry about black representation in manga instead of supporting black creatives. Like, respectfully, why do people care so much about people that are literally across the ocean? We have plenty of stuff over here that you can enjoy if you want to see black people. This, of course, isn't to say that you can't criticize how black people are often portrayed overseas, but I see a lot more people
Honestly, there's like barely any bad portrayal of black characters in Japanese media. Arguably, maybe some of the older stuff, right? Maybe, potentially. But you cannot really, right? You cannot really cry about it because different times, older times, less educated, less globalized, right? So, right? And then there's also people who consider characters black that aren't black. Piccolo is a Namekian, not a black man. The way, right? People say like Mr. Popo is black, and I'm like, no, he's based on a djinn. Are you a djinn? He's based on a demon. Are you a demon? Well, then again, he said he'd be a demon in Inazuma anyway. Yeah, right. You get the idea. I can't even think of really terrible representation, right? I guess there's right, some stuff in Dragon Ball, right, excluding Mr. Popo because he's not black. But even then, Dragon Ball has had right, the one Pan's teacher, right? That's one that's good representation. Barrett, right, from Final Fantasy VII, good representation. A lot of Gachiakuda, right? But like, nothing really terrible that isn't in the last 10 years.
talking about that stuff and supporting things over here. This video has no structure at all, so I should really just ask the bombshell question. Does all of this stuff stem from racial insecurity? I don't have the knowledge or vocabulary to word this part properly, but what is it about being represented by overseas artists that is so titillating to some people? I just do not understand it, man. Who cares if mangaka don't want to draw us, dude? Why does it seem like the end of the world to some if they don't have us in their stuff? It would be so insane to me if I made a comic that was black as hell and I started getting messages from Japanese fans talking about some, why don't you have any Japanese in your comics? Because I don't want to?
Yeah, I'm going even further. You don't need representation in anything. If you want to create an all-black show or an all-black franchise, where's the problem? Do it. Nobody's stopping you. Go ahead. You want to have an all-white cast? Go ahead. Do it. You want to have an all-Chinese cast, all Japanese, all Spanish, all French, all Nigerian? Go ahead. Nobody is stopping you. The problem is that I have is when somebody does it and it's an all-white cast, they're gonna complain how there's it's not diverse enough. There's no black people in it. I feel like if you don't want to put a group of people into your media, I think that's fine. Right? I think that's fine. I don't think there's something to complain about. I think this stems from something much greater, and that is this victim culture around sadly around black communities, right? Which is arguably shooting themselves in the foot because it makes them unlikable. It also, right, this whole Gotcha Yakuta situation does one thing and one thing only. Whether you like it or not, I'm gonna say it, right? It's gonna make people not want to put black characters in their stories because they fear that if they portray them wrongly or not the way that they want to, the mob, I mean, right? Not this man in particular, this guy in particular, and anybody that thinks like him, any normal person, right? It makes them not want to put black characters in there because of the potential repercussions, right? So instead of maybe putting in like one or two, three black characters in your story, you're gonna now run a full Japanese cast. You're gonna now run a full white cast. You get full whatever, right? It's just sad, right? This only results in one thing and one thing only: resentment.
The hell? There's no obligation for anyone to be in anything. And before you guys pull the, well, they use our culture so we should be represented, white people could use this argument to say that they belong in manga, even though they're already in a lot of stuff over there. There are several words in Japanese that are just English loanwords. Do white people not have an obligation to be in manga and anime? Hell, manga is heavily inspired by
Yeah, there's like a lot of manga and anime is heavily inspired by medieval Europe, right? Vinland Saga, Attack on Titan, right? They even have German names. There's lots of characters that have German names, right? And yet we don't sit here and demand put us in your media. We don't do that. That is, first of all, disrespectful. It's just weird. It's not our culture. It's not our media. So we don't demand that. I've never seen anybody demand it, right? And I don't think that's right. I would never go up to somebody who writes in like a story that takes place in, I don't know what country. Let me think. Like Congo. I would never go up to somebody in Congo and say, put white people in there because I want representation. That doesn't make sense. It's not my story, right? It's also like when you base a story on Japan, there is a barely existent, very, 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 very small minority of black people in Japan. It wouldn't even make sense. It's that simple. I'm even going so far and put the same thing for sexualities, actually. If I don't want to have gay characters in my story, or lesbians, or trans, or whatever, or bisexuals, it's fine. Don't see a problem. That's fine.
comics, right? Weren't early comics
I'm not going to like Bollywood and demand that they put in white characters. It doesn't make sense. It's not my it's not my culture. It's that simple. And also like what are we using from black culture specifically, right? Because this is never, right? This is never black African. This is never Africans sitting here, and I hate to use the word black the entire time. It's so stupid. It's not never Africans sitting here and demanding, "Oh yeah, put black people in there." It's always entitled black Americans that do it, right? It's always entitled Americans that do it, and I think this comes from the entitlement. This is entitlement.
Comics made by Jewish people? Correct me if I'm wrong, please, but does this now mean that Jews have an obligation to be in manga and anime? I'm pretty sure there's restaurants over there that are based on other cultures, like Mexican and Italian restaurants. Do Mexicans and Italians now have an obligation to be in manga and anime? This argument makes absolutely no sense, and I've actually seen people say this, by the way, so don't think that this came out of nowhere. It's fine to want to be represented, but you should first seek out things made by your people, not things made by literal outsiders. I might just be on the right side of TikTok, but I see no other group acting like this. It's just so odd to me. A lot of you by this point have probably noticed something. I keep saying that people should support smaller black creators, but I haven't really shown anything like that yet. Now, this is going to be very funny, but I don't even really have anything to recommend because
I said this before in a different video, and people got mad for it, but like, there's nothing. Which is unfortunate, right? There is nothing, right? Like, how many can name me, right? Since they always want to go back, or like, right, my ancestors in Africa, right? Which some people actually say, right? Even though if you went to Africa, right, you'd be white. You'd be essentially be a white person over there, but regardless, where are the stories that pick up mythology, stories, history of black people? There are none. There are none. And yeah, you can tell how I know there are none. Otherwise, they wouldn't race swap white characters. And that's another point, which I hate. The race swapping. I hate it. I hate it. It's basically just to calm the voices. And it's incredibly disrespectful, not only to the original story, it's also disrespectful to the people because you're essentially getting an inferior product because the only thing they did was swap the skin color instead of creating an all new story. That's another thing. You can't really recommend anything. Arguably, people want to like right now. You want to bring up like you could bring up like Black Panther, right? Well, that was created by a white man. So this doesn't even matter. This doesn't arguably not count. Yes, it portrays black characters, right? But it's still made by a white man. That's the whole problem. Not only do the way I see it is the same group that's crying about representation isn't supporting black creators. It also isn't adding anything to the fact that there's more black media, so like focusing on a black consumer base, black people, right? That is also not happening. And it's kind of unfortunate, right? It's kind of unfortunate because I could probably imagine there's some really good stories to tell. There's probably some really creative minds that could make really interesting stories, right? There's probably great mythology, great legends, historical events that you could cover. Sadly, they refuse to do that.
the few things I do see from black creators don't really look appealing to me, like, at all. To be honest, I have a theory on why most black, like, indie things go nowhere, but if I said why, a lot of people would get very, very mad at me. Oh, and before you guys call me a hypocrite, the difference is that I'm not out here harassing Japanese creators off Twitter or anything. I'm just being honest.
Damn, now I'm curious what he thinks. Now I'm actually curious what he thinks. Hmm. Right? Hmm. I know that for a fact that music by black artists is not really like that appealing because it is incredibly degenerate, right? It glorifies baby mom culture and degeneracy. I'm gonna straight up say it, right? And I mean specifically talk about modern stuff, right? I'm not talking about stuff back in the day, right? Nobody would call Michael Jackson or what was his name? Prince? degenerate. Nobody would call black music from the 70s and 80s, right? Degenerate. Nobody would call gospels degenerate, right? I'm talking specifically about modern music, right? And honestly, that applies to white music as well, right? I'm German. Our music is in the absolute gutter, right? We talk about like our texts right now are about like when to take when to take drugs and alcohol to abort boys, right? We have that right now. We are in that arc, so we're not. I'm not gonna throw rocks while sitting in a glass house. That isn't. This is an overall issue. Um, what could the reason be? Maybe it's now that I think about it, it could be a mix of multiple things. It could be kind of segregation kind of type thing. We have the Black VTuber Awards, and right, they are incredibly damaging to Black VTubers because they're essentially just segregation, right? You're not finding a home in a space if you segregate yourself from the space, right? That doesn't make sense. It could be like multiple things, right? It could be either attention to the wrong people, segregation type of behavior, like group mentality, us against them, and partially a lot of degenerate stuff. But that mostly goes so right. I can't even think about like an a movie that stars a lot of black people that is very popular. I wonder what he has to say. I wonder what he has to say. That would be so interesting.
about my disinterest. I really have nothing else to say, nor do I have any reason to try to pad out the runtime or anything. I hope to see people plugging underground black creators in the comment section. If not, then I think the point of this video was missed. Anyways, that's all for now. This is Ultrasemi and I'm out of here. Y'all have a good one. Peace.
Wasn't Corey X Kenshin doing something, if I remember correctly? Like creating a comic? Where did that go? Was it Corey? I know that a black YouTuber, black creator, streamer, wanted to make a comic and did make a comic. Right? I think it was marketed as anime manga, though it's not manga, right? Um, but yeah, that it's interesting. I agree with him. I think that instead of harassing people that don't make media the way you want to, create your own. Create your own. Support stuff that your own people make, right? Put your money where your mouth is and make media that is I'm gonna call it black media. It sounds a bit weird, right? Anyway, um and make black media that portrays black people in the way that you want to, right? And make that great. Support it financially. And then you won't need to harass others to do representation and then complain when they do it, but they don't do it the same way. Apparently, there was a manga released recently that had a black main character, and people complained about the localization. Right, the usual people, right, that side of people complained about the localization because it wasn't the way that they wanted it to, but because it was accurate translation. Anyway, you get the idea. Thank you for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing. Let me know what you think about this. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys.